Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
This is Solutions from the Multiverse.
Welcome to. We have to banter first.
Oh,
Unless you wanted to go straight in with music.
Did I jump banter?
We didn't. We haven't identified ourselves in like a few episodes.
A few episodes. Nobody.
This is Solutions from the Multiverse. It's a podcast.
I'm Adam Browse.
I am Scott Maupin.
We every week will share with you a totally new idea, a totally new solution to the world's problems.
Straight from, the idea is you open up portals into other universes.
Yes, go into those universes
and get these ideas from other atoms or other universes.
And sometimes those atoms come through and just are the atom for the podcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then we share it, and the idea is it's going to be a new thing, a new way to solve a problem that we all. Or, we don't society all have, but a thing to solve, make society better at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea is that other universes have solved the problems in different ways, so we can borrow those.
And so,
those worlds have their own problems.
But the reality is these are coming from your mind. You come up with these. And you have a list of things you're chewing on and how to think about it.
I'm a professor.
And I'm a podcast maker.
Yeah, and comedian, I would say.
Oh, thank you very much. I don't until I get paid for that.
That's right. You have to get paid for it to be able to call yourself it.
Yeah, it feels very pretentious.
So I'm also like an idea person. So like I've put on TEDx 3 times.
Wow. Yeah. The TEDx Madison we talked about earlier.
Yeah. So so I'm kind of a connoisseur and sort of excited about new ideas.
I'm at 0 TEDx's.
You've planned 0 TEDx's?
So far.
Yeah.
But
is that what they're called? 0 TEDx? Or TEDx 0.
It's TEDx 0. It's a 0 it's a 0. No, it's a 0 calorie.
Okay, no calorie TEDx. All right.
You go out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
These ideas are very low calorie. Very thinning.
Usually they're super healthy. You would classify them as healthy, right?
Very healthy. Well, some of them are.
Do you have an unhealthy idea today? What do you got today?
No, I got a healthy idea. Okay, solution today is something very cool has happened. I released a new book.
Hey!
Yeah.
All right.
New book. So I thought I'd share a solution from
new
the book.
Or just author Adam Browse. Yeah. What's the title?
I'll share the solution that is the book. So the title is The Caging of the American Mind.
The Caging of the American Mind by Adam Browse.
Yes. And the subtitle is How We Broke Higher Education and How to Fix It. So it's like, that's what it's
How
about.
we broke higher education and how to fix it. You're not just throwing of course, you're throwing solutions too. Of course you are.
The last 5 chapters are solution 1, solution 2, solution 3, solution 4, solution 5.
Okay.
So you have a bunch of options. But I have one that I think is the actual solution that we should do. But then, yeah.
Throw me the title again?
Yeah, it's called The Caging of the American Mind.
Caging of the American Mind.
So there's already 2 other books. There's one called The Closing of the American Mind, and there's another one called The Coddling of the American Mind. I'm kind of rounding out the hat trick. I actually think those books are kind of misguided. One says The Closing of the American Mind.
These aren't other books you wrote.
No. These are just other books.
Okay.
So Alan Bloom wrote The Closing of the American Mind in like the 80s, and he's very kind of right-wing. Both of these books are kind of right-wing. My book is not. My book is... No, it's not really partisan either way, but it's
solution-oriented.
It's just a solution.
Yeah.
But anyways, The Closing of the American Mind said that the problem with higher education is like multiculturalism. He literally was like...
That's the problem?
Yes. He was like, multiculturalism is going to destroy the basis of democracy in America.
Can't have more than one culture.
That's what he said in 1989 or 1990 or something. And lo and behold, he was not right. Democracy continues to be... destroyed mostly by money and politics, not by multiculturalism.
I agree.
And by crappy media, broadcast media being owned by 3 conglomerates.
So goodbye, right? Mr. Bloom.
Mr. Bloom
of the mind is not.
He's a genius when it comes to ancient philosophy, and I respect his work on ancient philosophy, but he's an idiot when it comes to modern, social whatever analysis.
So what was the second one you said?
So the other one is more contemporary. It was made by Jonathan Haidt and another guy. I can't remember the other guy's name. And it's called The Coddling of the American Mind. They say political correctness is ruining the American university. Universities are destroyed by trigger warnings and safe spaces and pronouns. That's what's destroying America's universities.
It's pronouns.
It's pronouns.
It's got to be
That's
pronouns.
the problem. Not that university costs $250,000 a year.
Related. Don't think about that.
It takes
pronouns.
you 5 years to do, and you don't get a job at the end.
No.
That's not the problem.
No.
It's
pronouns.
definitely pronouns and social.
Predatory mundane practices. What are you talking about?
Absolutely not a problem. Right. So I take a more realistic perspective.
So that guy, you're saying you hate on hate?
I do. Hate is one of my. I mean,
Mr. Bloom,
I would love
you
to
hate on
talk
hate.
to Jonathan Haidt. Someday I want to speak to him in person or like on mic, because I literally, like, most of the things I write turn out to be just like refuting what he has said. That's like what I write about.
So you're a hater.
I mean, no, I mean, he's a man. He's I think he seems like a very nice man too. But I just think his judgment is wrong. I even think his intentions are good. He has, I think, very good intentions to, sort of, say hard truths and discover realities about science and human nature and stuff. But unfortunately, I think he's just off. His judgment is off and his data is off. And so anyways, so a lot of things I write are sort of anti-hate.
All right. So we've got the coddling, we've got the closing,
caging,
and
closing.
now
we have the caging.
We have the caging.
And the caging takes a much more realistic critique of higher ed. Obviously, the cost and the quality are the problems with higher education. It's too expensive and it isn't good enough.
All three are about the problems with higher education.
They're all about the problems with higher education.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And mine is basically a sequel to those that is like a worthwhile read to actually read. Theirs are not actually worthwhile reading. I just told you they're books. Like that's all there it is.
Yeah,
and you can make up the arguments, and you're probably going to just repeat the arguments they came up with because it's so obvious. Like, coddling. Political correctness is bad. It cuts it at the basis of democracy.
Those are those people we talked about who are like, you should let your child cry because that's healthy for them.
Ferberize them.
Yeah,
ferberization.
Exactly.
I don't know if Jonathan Haidt supports ferberization. I've never heard
coddling,
him say
right?
that. That's true. The word coddling, right? Yeah.
The idea
spare
of
the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah, they're like, let the child grow strong on his own, stiff upper lip.
That's
and all
right.
That.
I don't know if I think they're doing it metaphorically, but technically that would be sort of saying don't coddle. Yeah.
Big fan of each other's work.
They're trying to act like, you're coddling. I do think that college students are kind of run amok in a way right now because there's like a litigiousness and the law like protects very strange things. And anyways, from my experience,
college is always a weird time.
Yeah, but I think I think there should be. I do agree. I mean, I don't agree with the premise of the coddling of the American mind. The problem with our universities is the cost and the quality, and I'll share with you the solution to that. But there is some truth, just like closing the American mind. There is some truth to the fact that we should study the cultures of Northern European countries because, for better or worse, that's the cradle of modern democracy and science. It's like, for better or worse, we should study like dead white men and blah blah blah. Like, you should actually know about that stuff. It's really important.
Okay,
so they're not wrong, but that's the problem with BS, right? BS bullshit always has like a kernel of corn in the bullshit that is true. And then there's all the bullshit around it that's not true, and all the bad things that come of it that are not right.
I mean, that's the thing about rounding something out means adding more data points, not just
reductively
shifting. Yeah, you don't want to shift the shape of the lopsided thing.
Yeah. But anyways, let me tell you about the solution. So the higher ed is screwed up. Everyone knows that, I hope. We have really bad metrics in higher education. The cost, but also just from a quality side, really bad. And then recently, especially post-COVID, we're seeing people kind of get wise to how bad it is. Like, the enrollments are dropping even more than demographically. Like, we expect a big drop demographically because the birth rate has fallen.
I hear people talk about an enrollment cliff. I do podcasts for higher ed related things, and they talk about an enrollment cliff coming.
Is demographic. But even before this demographic enrollment cliff, we're already seeing enrollments go way down because people are like, should I go to college? This looks like a real waste of money and
everyone
time.
Went to college on Zoom for like 2.5 years, and then they were like, wait a minute. Let me reevaluate my whole impression of this system.
And now there's ChatGPT, which is only going to fuel that more, because you can go on ChatGPT today, the free version, and you can say, give me a curriculum for learning how to do this, and it will just give you it. you don't have like the universities have no competitive advantage anymore because they're not gatekeepers for the data anymore.
That person is not I mean, everybody could do that, but that's the same as like, everyone could get it's like the Goodwill Hunting thing. They could get a amazing college
library card.
You're going to think that until next semester when you start reading this guy, then you're going to start thinking that's the thing. He's like, I got the whole thing in a library for like $250 in late fees. Like you could get all the information from a library. It's just the college.
But I think there's something about curriculum though. Like when you go to the library, you don't know what order to read things.
It's their ordering that help is what you're getting, and then also the paper at the end. You know the paper at the end is huge. Yes. It's a reason that people who even might be able to be the rare people who could go and self-direct at the library and get an entire college education for free.
This is exactly
would maybe choose not to.
This is exactly right. So I did a ton of research. I did original quantitative research, and I produced the original. I pulled data and showed data that has never been shown, as far as I can tell. And I interviewed a whole bunch of people, stakeholders in higher education, especially new college founders. So the founders of new colleges and people who want to found new colleges but who have been stopped.
Why did you pick new college founders?
Because my research, so what I was really interested in was I discovered by pulling this original data that we're living in like an ice age of new colleges. There are no new colleges, basically no new colleges. There's as many new colleges made in the decade from 2010 to 2020 as the number of new colleges made in the decade 1840 to 1850.
So
the population of the United States in 1840 was 3 million people.
Yeah.
So there's 100 times more people and 50 times more go to college. Or not 50 times more. It was only like less than 1% and now it's like 12%. So it's like almost 10 times more people go to college. So the population's gone up by 100 and the number of people who go to college has gone up by 10. So it's like 1,000%, like 1,000 times more people are going to college, and the same number of new colleges are being created.
Interesting.
In between, there were years where there was more. So during the land grant times in the late 1800s.
But we're at like a slow period now?
We are in an absolute drop-off cliff down to almost zero, and it began in the 70s. And then it's only accelerated into the 90s. And then from the 90s on, it's like nothing. It's like 10 new colleges every decade. It's like one new college a year on average. When there's millions of people who want to go to college. And because of globalization, there are hundreds of millions of people in other countries who want to go to college in America.
Right.
So the demand has gone up by thousands of times. And the number of new colleges has dropped to basically zero, flatlined. So this was my question. My question was, okay, I pulled that data and I was like, this is crazy. What's going on? So that was my question. Why are there no new colleges? So I went to talk to new colleges and asked them, okay, tell me about your story. You started a new college. Tell me about what's going on.
Yeah.
And these people are fast. I talked to some for-profits, but I didn't include them in the book because actually I think the track record for for-profit colleges is not good. And so I put them in a separate category. I'm not trying to defend for-profits.
Okay.
My premise is new nonprofit colleges is all I'm talking about.
Okay.
So I went and talked to these new nonprofit college founders, and they were awesome. They were, amazingly qualified. They'd all worked in universities for decades, and they all had PhDs, and they all were like these amazing people. They'd been on the boards of other universities. They'd done all these amazing things. And then they said, I realized that what we really needed was a new college that made, some concrete innovations to differentiate. And so we started them, and then the accreditors told them they just slammed the door in their faces.
These insurance people? No,
accreditors. So in the United States, we have private nonprofit accreditors. So we have these private regional organizations that are not governmental.
Okay. I was going to be like, is this Department of Education? But no, it sounds like no.
So in America, to be a fully recognized, fully legitimate college, you need to have state licensing, which these new colleges were able to get. You need to be registered with the Department of Education, which these new colleges were not able to get because the Department of Education requires you to be accredited by these private accreditors in order to be registered with the Department of Education. Gotcha. So these colleges stay in this like twilight zone of being like licensed but not accredited.
Oh.
And so they can offer degrees, but the degrees aren't recognized by anyone else. So you can't transfer credits, you can't go to grad school, can't do anything with it. And people could even say you're not really a degree because it's not fully recognized.
Yeah.
Like on par with other things. So these schools are like put into like
blacklisted without really officially blacklisting. They can be like, no, we don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But meanwhile, there's no way to actually get the thing.
Exactly. So it's this unfair thing. And it was the accreditors. The states would license you. You could get students, you could open campuses, you could do everything, you could make websites, but you couldn't get the accreditation. And because you can't get the accreditation, you don't get the full legitimacy, you don't get federal financial aid, and you can't get things like a .edu domain. A lot of grants are you're blocked from because the grants only can go to accredited colleges, universities. So you can't get all this like millions and millions of dollars of grants that every year go to universities. So there's this whole basically like a bulwark, like a wall, or a cage that is caged.
Interesting metaphor.
That's
you
the title.
You should hold on to that.
Caged the American mind. And so the solution to our higher educational woes, cost, quality, even the speed. I mean, I think it's really long. People don't need to go to college for 5 years to get an undergraduate degree. 3 years is probably plenty.
I mean, it depends on how you
at the right pace.
Sure.
Moving at the right pace.
Yeah.
And so if we wanted to solve all these problems, we could solve it very rapidly. Like within 2 years, we would solve all these problems if we just let qualified people, start new nonprofit colleges. And what that means is the solution that I recommend is...
You said nude nonprofit
colleges. Yes. No pants.
Oh, no.
People have to be naked. That's the key thing. It turns out you learn a lot faster.
I can see. I think I know why these aren't getting accredited.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I have a feeling,
what is going on.
Now that you tell me a little bit, one more detail actually makes the whole thing clear.
Nude nonprofit colleges, and we can't understand why they're not gaining legitimacy. We don't understand.
Our graduates are so smart. They don't have any clothes on, but they're so smart.
They put clothes on, they lose. It's like Samson. They lose their superpowers.
Let this naked guy come and engineer
naked,
your rockets.
Dang, they are naked. It's impractical because, you can't have rocket machinery moving too quickly around them. You don't want to hurt them.
A little danger.
But yeah. So yeah, these nude nonprofit colleges are important.
No, but that's
new nonprofit.
So
colleges,
the accreditor. I
yes.
keep saying that. I'm so worried about AI.
I am the accreditor.
Oh no, the accreditators. You got to be aware of them. The army of accreditators. Yeah, I'm against
robot accreditators. Yeah.
No, but the accreditors are getting in the way.
They're not just getting in the way. They are deliberately operating a cartel. They're operating a cartel,
monopoly or whatever.
Yeah, monopoly.
Not a monopoly, but they're keeping
a cartel.
The old boys club. And they're like, nobody knew. We're done.
Yes.
We pulled up the ladder after us. No more.
Exactly. I've got mine, Jack. And then they do this. They do this really horrible, like moralizing, like glare at you, like, you're trying to ruin American universities. That's
through
what
email?
Just like through they just kind of glare at, and they attack your reputation. That's their main playbook.
Oh, sure.
So they attack your reputation and say, oh, they don't, like, I think if this book gains any like notoriety, there will be media articles about how I am some kind of terrible...
Am I going to get canceled because I'm associated with you?
You will also get canceled.
Oh crap! I got to change. I'll change. I'll get one of those.
Yeah, no, they will attack my reputation.
Fake nose mustache.
They'll say, "Did you know that in 2020 he worked for a for-profit university?" Because I used to work for Make School, which was for-profit, and then it became a nonprofit, and
people can't switch their opinions or grow and learn over the course of years.
And they'll say, "Did you know that he is just a tech bro? He's a tech bro." Because I teach people how to code, and I've done tech software, for-profit tech software companies, mostly in healthcare and environmentalism. They won't say that. They won't. Yeah. So they'll do whatever they can.
You'd be like, I'm not a tech bro. I'm a podcast. Wait, actually, just call me a tech bro. Actually,
or I don't think they'd probably go in the political. They won't be political because they don't want to or they won't be racial. Like they won't say, oh, he's a white guy. They won't do that stuff, but they will try, because they don't, then that can rebound back on them.
Okay.
But they will do things like his judgment is bad because look, he worked for a for-profit college. He's trying to just carry water for for-profit colleges because he knows, I'm connected to some people who are
but your whole thing was focused on nonprofit.
Well, the research was, but they'll just say he's only doing that as a smokescreen, and he just cares about it's all a bunch of trash. What they will, when I promise you, if the book gets any notoriety, this is what they will say, and this is garbage because I don't care about for profits, and I'm not carrying water for them, and my work in business has always been humanitarian. I just use free markets and business to achieve humanitarian ends,
So we're talking directly to audience right now. We can get past those people, what they're saying, but what the thing that solves the cage
new
around
colleges.
The new colleges is the accreditation, the accreditation process.
Yes. And the fix
is the bureaucracy.
Yeah. So the fix is for the federal government to write essentially a one-page law, a very simple law, that just instructs the Department of Education to just ignore accreditation. We don't need accreditation.
Don't factor that in.
Just ignore it. All the Department of Education should do is say, do you have state licensing? Which is already there, which is a system of accreditation.
That sounds like it would be the same thing as accreditation. Yes,
I know. It's what it should be.
So what is state licensing?
So state licensing is exactly the same as accreditation, except they're fair and they will actually do it as state governments do it.
Okay.
So if you can apply to the New Hampshire, and I know a university that applied to the Washington D.C. and got licensing.
Right.
I know a new college that applied to Oregon State, got licensing. Both Washington D.C. and Oregon State are two states where it is, without a doubt, their licensing is many times more difficult and stringent than the accreditors, than any of the accreditors. And so the colleges have gotten this licensing, and yet they are shunted out because they can't get accreditation. But the only reason they can't is because the accreditors are unfair. It's not because they somehow don't meet quality standards. They've already far exceeded multiple times
hit all
what the accreditors would require.
All the points of the legal.
Yeah, do your professors have this level of training? Are there curricula?
And then after that, as some people love to say, is free market, right? Let the free market decide.
Yeah, it's a regulated market.
Well, I'm
with
just
licenses that can be revoked.
Or let the capitalism reflection of like, if we have a bad product, then people will stop getting it. Like,
sure,
people will stop coming here if we have a terrible education. So we need to keep a good education. That's how we keep students. That's why we keep.
But I would even say the licensing system is functional. It keeps bad colleges from starting. The point is that we just don't need an additional private system called accreditation that is complete extra fluff. And here's the other thing. The boards of all the accreditors.
Have you seen our healthcare industry? We love sticking an extra middleman right in the middle that makes things so much cheaper and easier.
Here's the thing, though. Those middlemen in healthcare go and give like $100 million donations to the Democratic or Republican parties like every year.
Yeah.
The accreditors,
they don't have to?
They don't have any money. The accreditors don't have any money. The accreditors are just these nonprofit.
It's just an empty mafia. They're just a
paper
mafia.
Their presidents, their boards are all the presidents of existing colleges.
Okay.
So if you went and said, "I'm going to do this thing to ignore accreditation,"
so it's like the NFL team coaches.
It's like the NFL,
and they're like. I'm going to start my own football team. And they're like, strangely, we have this board who votes on whether or not we let football teams in. And it's all the people who profit now, and we decide not to share our money.
It's exactly
funny how that works.
Like the NFL.
Thank you very much for your
I should have put that in the book because that's a great analogy for what it is. Yeah. So the accreditors.
It's like a cartel.
It's an exact cartel. It's an exact cartel. And they got put in power by the government. So in 1952, after the government created GI Bill money for soldiers to go to college. And then after the Korean War, they re-upped it. Yeah, they re-upped it. And when they re-upped it, there was this sort of like outcry between World War II and the Korean War. There was this sort of outcry by like journalists. I say with finger quotes because it turns out that they were wrong.
Yeah, but people can't hear the finger quotes. I'm glad you said that.
When that's the finger quotes
that's
on the
new finger quote noise.
So they said
nothing weird about that.
Nothing weird at all. But so basically what they did is these journalists were like, oh, there's like grifters who are starting like mail order for-profit colleges for like bartender training and ballroom dance training. That's all grift. That's all bad. That's all inefficient use of these funds.
You have to mix those two. You have to be a ballroom dance bartender. And therefore
we need some means testing. So then the federal government was like, okay, there was these. So accreditors at that time weren't called accreditors. They were all called associations, which were just like, like a conference, like the way that if you were a dentist, you could just sign up and go to like your regional dental association.
We're the Better Business Bureau. Yeah. We approve this business.
Yeah, and anybody, but even Better Bureau, it wasn't even like Better Bureau because they weren't an accreditor. They weren't in any way a quality metric. They were just a conference that you could go to and rub shoulders with peers.
Okay.
So they were just these associations. And so as a fig leaf to try to kind of give a nod to this sort of public outcry that the money might be misused.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it wasn't misused. Less than 1% of the money was used for any of that stuff. Any kind of like ballroom dance. I don't know. Even as if there's something wrong with ballroom dance. What's wrong with learning to ballroom dance? Like,
no, but you're crazy. Acting as though everyone, if they get that option, is like, oh, I'll just do that for an easy college. That's not. I would rather do many things other than
I'd rather do an engineering degree
class,
or something.
Yeah, right. That sounds very
also
scary,
if you went and did a 4-year college that was like legitimate, you play on the football team, you do ballroom dance, you go to dance, like there's all kinds of things that go into a 4-year school.
Well, that's what you were like.
Why can't the poor rural people get a mail order ballroom dance?
I was gonna say when you were like, yeah, you could do a college degree in 3 years. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, kind of doing it a little bit longer is what gets you into those weird classes that you would have never, like I was in Chinese history classes because I'm like, I gotta do something. This looks fun. Let's throw it on.
Yeah. Well, there is. I mean, I think there's an argument about how to be well-rounded. I find that the students, when I give students the choice to pick what they want to learn, they then focus on what they want to learn for like a few months really intensively, and then they get bored and curious about other things. And then they go and find other things and they want to learn it.
Yeah.
And so they learn way faster.
Self-driven.
So I don't say, well, I'm going to force you by mandate to be well-rounded, because what I find is when I just give them the choice to learn what they want, they end up being better, more well-rounded than if I would have forced it on them.
Gotcha.
And you see this with people when they get out of college. You get someone who's out of college who has a good job. They start learning all kinds of things. They all start reading books and like researching or learning new sports or learning, and human beings are naturally sort of curious and naturally sort of get bored with something they've been focusing on for too long and do other things. So there's no need to force people to be well-rounded.
Hedonic adaptation.
And then the few people who do decide to literally never do anything else, you better stay the hell out of their way too, because they're doing important work. Don't try to get Einstein to like learn Chinese history. He's busy doing physics. Let the man focus.
Right.
So there's never a time when you should, anyway, this is just sort of sidebar, but there's never a time when you should force well-roundedness onto people.
So would you want these accreditors to go back to the association level, or do you just want them out of there completely?
I don't care what they do. The accreditors can just do whatever they want. The point is the federal government.
Stop caring about
the federal government needs to just say, you guys do whatever you want.
You have no real power.
But we just are going to we're just going to treat colleges as fully fledged, fully accepted, fully real American colleges and universities if they get state licensing and then they apply and get registered with the Department of Education, which is like a 10-page form. It's like not hard. But it would say, where did you get licensed? I got licensed in Oregon. Here's my, here's their thing they gave me. And then you would send that into the Department of Education, and in like 2 weeks they'd be like, you're recognized by the Department of Education now. Your degree you can get federal financial aid, and you can get
and then they'd have to recheck it like a driver's license every so often.
Which they do.
Yeah, they come and send,
actually they're way better than the accreditors. The federal government has driven quality. This is what a big part of the book is about. The big part of the book goes through the history of showing that accreditors have never driven quality in higher education. Never. It's always been new colleges or the federal government. That's the only two groups that actually have assured or improved quality in higher education. And you can look at a million examples, but I mean, one example would be segregation, right? The accreditors were around since the 50s. And guess what? There was segregation.
They weren't leading the charge on that one?
Well, they were leading the charge on keeping schools segregated if they wanted to be segregated.
No, they seem like a force of status quo, not a force of iterating in new things. It seems like
that's right.
They would default to the way we do the thing. We do the thing the way we do the thing because we've always done the thing that way.
Yeah, and if you try to say otherwise, then we'll attack your reputation or we'll send you fine. They always like to fine people, fine you.
The experience I had, in my world is comic book world, and it's like after some in the 60s and 70s, they started showing like drug use and like more hardcore things. Yeah. And they were like, these comic code had to come in and start approving things and decide to not approve certain books if they contain certain things. So it had a chilling effect on the writer, whatever. Oh, wow. It didn't help, but it was supposed to make it better. But it's just long-term notorious, like until they got away from it and been like, this one there's not writers, it's not artists. This weird band of people have way too much power and influence over the entire medium and what's happening.
These are great examples. Yeah. Comic books and NFL. You should have written this book.
No.
It's way more understandable than the crap I wrote.
I have no idea.
I mean, I try to tell exciting stories. Solutions. I tell exciting stories, but
you interviewed people who are like real education people. So
they have but you got to make people understand it through analogies. Analogies are so important.
So Caging of the American Mind.
Yeah.
You're telling me it's out right now. People can Google
it's on Amazon. Yep.
Find it on Amazon. Yep. Order it.
We've got the
Adam
Kindle.
Braus, Braus.
By the time this comes out, the paperback will be. I just need to upload the paperback file, but the Kindle file is already there. You can get the Kindle already. Ooh. And the paperback will be available.
The paperback. Yeah. By the time anyone's hearing this, paperback is out.
It's excellent. On Amazon, Caging the American Mind. It's got American flag that's turned into a cage on the front cover.
Okay.
So it's like a flag, but it's a cage flag. It's cool.
I got to see this.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Very nice.
But yeah, so what this does is basically...
Pull it up right now, actually.
What it does is this basically... There are... I know personally, I know, and I could list the names of a dozen people who want to start new colleges in the United States today, nonprofit colleges. These people are highly qualified, PhD. They've started university programs inside of existing universities, so they know how to build new programs. They've educated thousands, tens of thousands of students. They're highly ethically, very reputable ethically and with integrity, and they all want to start new nonprofit colleges, and all of them have been told, go F yourself by the accreditors. And many of them have gotten licensing from the state, which is often more rigorous than the accreditation's requirements, and still they're left out in the cold. Their colleges are considered fake. They're not allowed to have .edu domains. They're not allowed to tell people that their degree is accredited because it's not. They're forced to live in this twilight outside in the cold when they should absolutely be the vanguard of like a new generation of colleges. And this is just the 12 people I know. If tomorrow you actually said new nonprofit colleges don't need accreditation, they can just like get licensed and register with the Department of Education, there would be easily 100 to 1,000 new colleges would start next year. That would be amazing. Everyone would be like different and interesting and cool, and they'd all be nonprofit. And because I'm not saying change the rules for for-profits. I think for-profits should have a stiffer, more of a rigorous,
different set of situations.
Yeah, just the same way that if you had a donkey and a tiger, the donkey could be in like
build
just
a different
field.
Enclosure.
Yeah, but you'd have the tiger has different incentives.
Yes,
so it's not that they're bad. Tigers are great too.
No, but a predator and a grazing animal.
Exactly.
Situation. Okay, I'm looking at
also for nonprofits are not all good. The donkey can still kick your car and bite kids, and but it just needs a different set of rules.
Different oversight. All right, so I'm looking at the book. I found it on here, and you're right. You have a flag that you've turned the stars and bars into sort of like a prison cell.
The bars are bars.
The bars are really
the stars
bars
are like
now.
A door. Yeah.
Caging of the American Mind. It's right there. That's excellent. All right, well, I'm putting this right on my I don't have a Kindle. I'm gonna have to wait for the.
You just wait for the paperback.
I'm gonna do it though. Paperback. I'm gonna pre-buy that.
But if you are listening to this now, it'll be 2 weeks from now. So the paperback.
I just confirmed it's already. There's a spot right there on Amazon. Yes. Go get it right now. That's excellent.
Yeah, it's a really good book. It's fun to read too. I like to write like Malcolm Gladwell. It's always like stories and like did you know and interesting stuff.
Now, are you already like 3 steps into your next book as well, or like you're just always writing, or are you?
Yeah, I'm planning,
taking a pause.
I'm working on the PhD, which is looking back to my ethics stuff, and I'm working on those papers.
Okay.
And I'm working on a logic paper, but I'm planning 2 books. I don't know which one I'm going to do.
But I think each of your book, you like get more of your kind of unified theory of what higher education should do to fix itself.
Yeah.
And this is the latest. Yeah.
That book is the fix. Yeah. What really led me to this book is I learned from a previous book called Motivate, which is all evidence-based methodologies for improving student and learner motivation.
Yeah.
I read all this research. That's amazing. There's just like dozens of amazing research that's out there that's proven, or not proven, but it's really interesting research that's really credible. And it's like, why is none of this being applied?
Right.
Because it's like as if you literally were like, hey, we found research that reduced the, cancer mortality by 50%. And no hospitals were using it.
Yeah.
That would be like really strange. Like, why? And so when I started to research that, I was like, oh, because current universities basically can't change. And the reason why they can't change is because these accreditors don't allow them to change.
Right.
They don't allow them to do things differently.
You can't reach out because they're trying to maintain
They're just trying to keep the status quo going.
Yeah, keep going this direction. Right. We got the same heading.
And there aren't new colleges to threaten with competition, the old colleges, which then would force them to change and grow. And so basically, it's not just cost, which is a big problem. It's quality. Education. If we saw tomorrow the ability for people to start new nonprofit colleges, we would see a leap forward in the amount people can learn, and the quality of education would ratchet up many times higher than it is today.
What iPhone is Apple on now? What are they on?
15.
Yeah. So imagine if they got to like the iPhone 4 and they were like, "Yo, we're good," and then it's like the next year they're like, "It's the new." This year's version of the iPhone 4, and then like it keeps going.
The iPhone 4 though is pretty good. Imagine if they did it for 50 years.
Yeah, they just kept
70 years. We've had accreditors since 1952.
But they're like, why won't you do a new version? Like, I don't know. There's no other competitors.
No other competitors.
No reason. Why would we it's good one? Enough.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Or like Google was like that for a long time. They were basically a monopoly, and then ChatGPT came out of nowhere and scared the bejesus out of them. And now overnight, Google is like doing way more with AI and improving their search. And because ChatGPT which was a nonprofit originally, now it's
and it's now become the Q-tip version of like when people say I did a AI thing, they're talking like, I talked to ChatGPT.
Yeah,
even though it may be some other version of AI.
ChatGPT is the kind of default,
Google's like, we have Bard or whatever. I get Bard. Emails.
But they do other things too. They have the company DeepMind, and anyways, the point is just competition. is good, and I'm not some kind of virulent libertarian. I'm not saying make some Wild West risk caveat emptor thing. I'm saying
I went to the College of Scott Moppin.
Yeah, right.
And I'm the PhD of Scott Moppin University.
Exactly. I'm saying state licensing, which is more demanding than accreditation in most cases, and is fair and fast. You can get it in about 6 months, whereas accreditation you can just never get. But maybe you can get it in they say on their documentation 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
But then I've talked to people who have done it, who have tried for 8 years, and they still don't have it, and they've been told they've been rejected at multiple points and stuff. So the state licensing is rigorous. So I'm not saying let's have some libertarian wet dream about colleges being this sort of anyone can start a college. Right. I'm saying you have to do the state licensing. And that's a good barrier, I think. And you would create this interesting phenomenon where different states could actually change their licensing to be more maybe more forgiving, more kind of open, and other states could be like more sort of whatever, and that would be good because again, states kind of
control the flow,
compete, and it's democratically set up by laws and by.
And if you have an influx of a bunch, maybe you chill out for a minute. You're like, okay, slow down.
Or if you get a bunch of bad actors get through in Florida or something, then Florida might be like, we're really hurting Florida's brand. We should like actually tighten up our licensing in Florida and kind of make it more whatever. And other states might be like really progressive and be like, you know what? We're going to like prevent fraud, but otherwise like let people kind of let 1,000 flowers bloom. And guess what? Though colleges and universities are huge economic. I mean, they're boomtown. Like if you get a major university to start in your state, that's like billions of dollars of money from students and tuition and professors and real estate development and people, research money and, you know,
people love to complain about all the students and stuff, but it's like, hey, these are all humans who need to buy clothing and eat food and like use
and their
gasoline,
professors like, make money and buy houses and university builds things and then bars open and the bar, you know,
they go out and do
bowling alleys open and
there's some nightlife happening.
Yeah, and research grants come in.
Culture happens.
Guess what those students do? They're hireable. They can work in your businesses. Guess what they do? They live in your city. They start their own businesses. Those businesses are now headquartered in your city. I mean,
it's wild to me that people would rather that they would care more about like bringing a sports team in a giant stadium than a university, than a college to your place.
Right,
it's like one of them feels like it drains a lot of money and costs a lot to build this thing that's only very limitedly, and the other one brings
a evergreen,
huge, like completely continually renewing dividends.
Yeah, there's also a political aspect to this. I don't want to get too political, but I do think that democracy itself is threatened by people like Donald Trump, MAGA sort of anti-democratic forces. And do you know demographically the biggest difference between a person who voted for Trump and a person who didn't vote for Trump is a college education. It's not age, it's not wealth, it's not.
That's the biggest delineator.
It's just there's all those things too. Yeah. But the main, it's not rural, urban. It's not black, white, because a lot of people of color voted for Trump. It's not. It's. Did you get a college education or not? If you're educated, then you can see through that he's a demagogue, that he's a liar, that he's a shyster. That even if he promises change or something, he's not going to deliver it. He's just going to deliver more of the shit, status quo. Right. Rich get richer, poor get poorer. But if you're not educated, then you're like, maybe he's going to pull it off. Like, yeah, maybe he's saying it's going to be changed, so you kind of believe it. So I think the college, we don't just need better and more affordable education, so that kind of white bread, cake eating Americans can like go have college be better and more affordable. It's because more people in the United States need higher education and better education. It also would cause an improvement of quality at that level, would drive an improvement of quality at all levels. So when you're in high school, all the teachers and all the principals and all the college counselors and everybody there is like gearing what you're doing towards college.
Yeah.
And then when you're in grade school, they're gearing it to get you into the good high school and to be successful in high school.
Right.
So if you wildly ratchet up and improve the quality of higher education and open up what different colleges,
the prep to get ready for that,
then the preparation for it becomes wider and higher quality. Right. And then the preparation for high school becomes wider and higher quality and more evidence-based and more,
trickle down.
A true trickle down.
That's usually used
an actual trickle
as
down.
an ineffective thing, but that would actually.
This is a true, because it wouldn't be you're not saying money, you're saying it would
leadership. Just a chain reaction.
Yeah, it's just leadership. Yeah, just the colleges provide educational leadership.
That's huge.
And then secondary schools follow the colleges, and then primary schools follow the secondary schools. So this is like allowing people to start new colleges I think it would make it so Donald Trump could never become president again. It would make it so people understood that the climate crisis was happening. It would make it so that college cost about $40,000 for the whole degree, and most people would graduate in 3 to 4 years.
Because that's the huge thing, too. Yeah. People wind up with tons of debt, and then they go, now my options are limited. When right when you graduate college, you want your options to be the least. You're like, theoretically,
wide
that's
open.
the least limited you're ever going to have.
Right.
Is that you don't have to switch momentum anywhere.
So the most expensive tuition of all these new colleges that I interviewed, the highest tuition was a school that charged $15,000 a year.
Which is still remarkably...
And it was a 3-year degree.
Affordable.
That was the most expensive. The most affordable was a school called Mount Liberty College in Utah. They charged $4,500 a year. And when I asked them, why do you guys keep your tuition so low? They said, we don't believe in indentured servitude.
Nice.
They were hardcore.
Yeah, man.
Hardcore.
I got out. I mean, I got my degree when that was not the policy. And so I don't I'm not saddled with like an oppressive student debt like a lot of people younger than me are. But I feel for it, man. It seems.
The school that charges $15,000 a year is called New U University. Fantastic, awesome school.
Where is that at?
It's in DC.
Okay.
And it's very it's a very normal college. Like, I'm kind of wackadoo. I want to start a college a little crazier,
Sure.
But they are just like, look, there's the guy who started, his name is Kalinsky, Stratsy Kalinsky's amazing guy, Bulgarian heritage. And he used to be on the board, I think was president of, or no, he was on the board of the American University of Bulgaria, like an international university.
Okay.
And he saw all these problems, and he was a businessman. He made his money in like TiVo and like television technology.
Okay.
And then he got on this board, and then he literally in a very like self-sacrificing way, he decided that I'm going to just make my whole rest of my life about fixing higher education. And what he thought was important to do was to start a new college. So he started this new university in Washington, D.C. They've had 2 cohorts already. They've had 30 students. They're not accredited because they can't get accreditation because they get turned down, but they are licensed in DC.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing school. And $15,000 a year for a 3-year degree. It's just amazing. It's just phenomenal. Now, do you think Georgetown would like there to be New U University in their neighborhood where Georgetown costs probably $60,000 a year? And their cost $15,000 a year, and they give scholarships too. So $15,000 is the sticker price. You can get a scholarship, and it's half that.
I was going to say it's very telling that like these people who are in the middle and in power, conceivably like power positions inside these major universities, are like, you know what? It's actually, I'm looking at the writing on the wall. It's actually going to be easier for me to implement the changes I want by making a small version and hoping that it scales.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of thinking that I have any sort of way to turn the steering wheel on this big, giant vehicle that's like, no, we are chugging. It's like trying to turn a train. You're like, no, it's going on the track.
Right.
We're going down the track, and that's it. There's no
absolutely. And it's just like business, like there was no way for like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were respectively at Atari and HP. They weren't going to be able to get Atari or HP to start making personal computers. They just weren't. Right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they quit their jobs and in their garage, they ordered the parts and put together and soldered together Apple computers. And then they started selling them. And their first order was 200 computers, But today, if you were a professor, and this is just 2 guys from Atari and HP, middle nobodies.
Right.
And today, even if you were a professor at Harvard and you partnered up with a professor at Stanford to make a new university, there would be 0 chance of you succeeding. I can tell you that without any doubt, because I have records of people trying to do this.
Yeah.
And their accreditors block them out.
Yeah.
Back to coddling of the American mind. Jonathan Haidt and a bunch of other kind of right-wing sort of anti-PC people, sort of anti kind of culture war people, all are trying to start the University of Austin. They can't do it. The accreditors shut them down. Even though it's like millionaires and wealthy and powerful people all trying to start this university, they can't do it. Now, do I think the University of Austin's a good thing? No, because I think it's just some right-wing culture war crap. But if a lot of people could all start good stuff,
right,
they would be drowned out by a bunch of other good colleges, right? The good colleges would drown out the bad colleges. And there would still be diversity. Some people would start colleges that were
what is already at Austin?
Anti-woke or something.
That's just
there's UT Austin.
Okay.
They're huge, yeah. But I mean, I would start. I mean, I want to start a college. I'd start a campus in Austin tomorrow if I get accreditation. Sure, it's
a hopping place.
Yeah, it's a great place to have a campus. I bet there'd be 25 new colleges the first year if there was possible to start new colleges in Austin. It would just be amazing. UT Austin probably wouldn't like that, But I mean, who cares? It's a public school.
Hey, you have to. Everybody play by the same rules.
Yeah,
that's the idea, which is what the accreditations are preventing. Not, right? Yeah. They're being like, we're tilting the board, and you're just saying, hey, could we just all have the same rules, same chance, same
State
whatever?
Licensing.
It's not like we're going to take 100,000 of Ohio State's students on day one.
Right.
That's not how.
There'll be a transition.
You can't do that, kind,
Also, Ohio State can sell their buildings to the new colleges. Like Ohio State, it doesn't matter. Like the administrators at Ohio State can be hired by the new. It's not like nobody's losing anything.
Don't be
competitive. What we're doing is we're growing the whole pie.
Right.
The pie of higher education will grow. And people who are in higher education are experts in higher education. They'll have jobs. They'll have roles that they can do.
Yeah.
So it's not a zero-sum game. It's not the pie shrinking. It's the pie growing. And I really wish these higher educational insiders were not so combative and anti-progress the way they are when they claim to be so pro-progress, like in all these other ways. They want their industry, they want their science to progress. They want so many of them are social justice progress people. They want social justice progress. Yeah. But what they do not want progress in is their own backyard. They do not want progress in higher education.
NIMBYs, right?
They're NIMBYs, yeah. They're
not
NIMBYs.
In my backyard.
Many of them are in favor of this. If you go down the line and talk to some really good professors, actually, especially the professors, are totally in favor of this. Well, but the blockers are mostly administrators.
I was going to say, it doesn't matter the individual people who want to do it. The size of the thing is... Yeah. And it's your power. It's like a train. You can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
One direction, and there's no way to stop it.
You just have to introduce new little trains that go in their own direction.
You're just like, we gotta free up a little.
They're like dinosaurs, and you want little mammals running around their feet. You want new stuff. Yeah,
fuzzy things you can pet.
They're cute.
Oh my gosh, I have that in my head right now because we're recording this on a Saturday, but my plan is later this Saturday, I'm gonna go and hopefully get. Fingers crossed, 2 new cats.
Oh my god, so cute!
To complete the.
You have a fantastic cat tree.
Thank you very much.
I think
to complete the deal.
Like they like that, huh?
So I'm hoping, and fingers crossed. We meet these guys and they're good. So maybe next episode I'll have some new people to talk about. Cats.
Really elevated them. That's okay.
Are they not a people?
They are a people.
Okay, here's the
feline
thing.
People.
Humans are us, right? We are humans. Nothing else.
Is that your
human.
New story you're going to make?
No,
humans
but you could have the people of another planet or something. Like people is just
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's you can even call people as the populating beings of a place. Or is it?
Yeah.
Are we just human, but we are also people? And cats could be people. Could cats be people? I think where I'm going.
Isn't people the?
Aren't you glad I'm putting this on the end of your serious?
No,
book?
It's good. Isn't people the plural of
Aren't
person?
Cats people? People is plural of person.
Person. So person has a legal meaning.
Yeah,
it means someone who can speak in court.
These cats are going to be talkative, very talkative.
But I don't think they can represent themselves in court.
If you ask them questions where the answer is always meow,
then they'll say When do you want to eat?
So
meow.
You have to speak in court, and then you're a people.
So so if you're a person.
I know. I'm saying that on.
So you have to. So unless you have to have what's called legal standing. If you don't have legal standing, then you're not a person. Personhood. I think this is the definition.
Babies can't be persons.
Babies
aren't people.
But I think they are.
Adam's over here saying babies aren't people.
But I think babies are people because they can become. They will grow in if everything goes, fine. They turn into people. So they're sort of people in the sense that they have the potential to become people.
So that Charlton Heston movie where he's talking about Soylent Green and then he says it's people. He's talking about the legal standing of. That's what he's commenting on, right?
Well, I guess at that point
he doesn't care that it's humans. He's like, no, these are beings with legal standing in the court of law. That's the problem.
Well, not in his society. In his society, they get made into food. But I think that's sort of the formal definition. I think of person. But then people just sounds like humans. But even if, okay, so you're saying if we mixed aliens, or actually what's more likely, if we mix people. AIs together in with humans, would you say, look at this crowd of people, and it would include AIs and humans?
I would be quick to call like cyborgs person.
Or would you be like, ladies and gentlemen, just that we should do the same thing? We should say, ladies and gentlemen, we should say like humans and AIs, people and AIs.
No, I don't want to separate them. That feels like it's going to anger.
Yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah, I want to.
You don't want to anger those AIs.
No, I want to be like, what's the thing for everybody who's here right now?
Everybody who's here.
I just want to be. I just want to be. I don't want to have to list things out.
Yeah,
but I would like to just be able to include everybody in an umbrella term. That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's right. People is just like.
Yeah, I'll call people. I'll call everybody people.
Everybody who's here. Everybody's. It's almost like the word. I can't believe
you don't think babies are persons.
Well, they're
that
not
sounds
really.
Bad. It sounds like
they're
don't
more
think
the
babies
property.
are people.
They're the property of their.
You
parents.
think babies are property?
They are. They're the property of their parents.
Technically, you should be able to sell and buy property. You want to sell and buy babies, bro?
Because they're potentially people, so they have a potential personhood.
We're getting into slippery slopes here.
Maybe they are people. I don't know. But they can't speak in court.
But you do want to buy children. You want to buy and sell children.
Maybe babies can speak in court, actually. They can't speak, but if you do a court case, I'm pretty sure like a baby represented by a lawyer could like sue the government, right? Or like sue a company, right? The baby could actually do it if the baby was the plaintiff. The baby had been harmed.
You'd have a lawyer who's like, Your Honor, I understand baby, and he just said right now.
But I think it would still be the parents would be
he identified the defendant. He said
this
that's
is a good question. I'm sure this is all. I'm sure that that man. I'm pretty sure this has all been solved, and so I just don't know.
Definitely has.
I just don't know.
We're two non-legal experts arguing about legal definitions.
Why are we
of
even
semantic
doing
words?
This? Anyways, we should be able to start colleges.
Start colleges.
Start colleges.
Get out of our way, accreditors.
Yeah, come on. Let us get state licensing. Nonprofit colleges.
Smarter people, more degrees.
Not for-profit colleges, I think, should also be allowed to start, but the state licensors should make a 2-track system.
You were clear about that.
Yeah.
I mean, until I edit out all the clarification.
Just be like, I love federal for-profit schools. Better.
No.
Non-profit schools.
Now I'm going to overlap everybody talking so it sounds more natural. You slipped and gave me the magic beans.
No, I gave you the beans.
Now I know how to do it.
Should have kept the beans. All right, well, yeah, everyone go buy the book. Tell everyone that they should buy the book. It would be so cool.
The Caging of the American
to
Mind.
Sell. If
Adam
I
Browse.
sold I need to sell 2,000 copies. If I sold 2,000 copies, then you'd see me on TV talking about it.
Okay.
But if I only sell my other books, I've only sold 200 or 300 copies.
Let's get Adam on TV
talking
talking
really
about
good on TV. It's just going to stay in a niche thing. So yeah, please help me support.
Let's do it.
Buy some books, 5-star reviews. Please provide 5-star reviews on Amazon.
You just got a $30 check
difference.
from your aunt for Christmas in a card. She didn't buy you anything. She gave you a $30 check, a personal check. Deposit it. Use part of it.
If you want, and if you want a coupon, or if you don't have enough money, you can just email me. I'll send you.
Don't say that. Don't.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. But I'd prefer if you've.
Okay, so we have to sell 2,000 copies plus however many Adam's just going to give away.
Well, I can coupon, and then you buy it still, and then it's just a coupon. So it's cheaper.
Oh, okay.
I think I can make 100 coupons on.
How do you have that kind of power over
just
Amazon?
They let the author create 100
Do you have dirt on
coupons.
Bezos?
Yeah, he's bald. Oh dang! I just gave it away.
you have blackmail dirt on Bezos, and you only use it to get somewhat of a coupon off of the price of your.
Oh,
you're just I feel like I misused that leverage.
I should have done more with this. He also got me a sandwich.
He was real quick to agree, by the way.
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh yeah, that's all you want."
He wanted that compromise.
Sure, man, you can have that.
Solving all the world's problems. Here's a solution from the multiverse.
One at a time.
One at a time.
Love it.
All right, come back next week.
See you next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Have a whole nother solution.
Oh wait, I can't say that. How do we?
See you next Tuesday. Yeah.
No, you're not. Never mind. If you know, you know.
See you next Tuesday. Why can't we say that?
I'll tell you off mic.
Okay. All right. I'll see everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.